Hello and happy Thursday. It is a beautiful day outside, and I hope that you get a chance to take a break and walk out and get some fresh air. But for right now, thank you and welcome to yet another episode of Red Dot Cafe. We hope that this live stream adds a little value and inspiration to your day today. I'm Angelica Cordero, TEDxSanAntonio's licensee, and I'll be your host for today's event. We want you and everyone else to take part in this conversation, so please leave your questions and comments in the feed as the conversation continues. I'll be monitoring the feed and highlight questions that we might be able to bring up to our speakers. Today, we are happy to be joined by TEDxSanAntonio 2019 speakers, Kierra Alderman, CEO of BOL Empowerment, and Alex Bailey, founder of Black Outside. This past fall, Kierra brought to light issues of large-scale gender inequality in ministry leadership. During that same event, Alex addressed the need to expand outdoor opportunities to youth of color. Today, they join us to reflect on their talks, life since speaking, and how physical distancing has impacted their professions. Please join me in welcoming Kierra and Alex.
Hi.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
We're so glad to have you all today. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you to allow you to have some conversation. So I'll be just outside for a bit and watching the feed. So thanks again for being a part of our conversation today.
Thank you for having us. First thing I want to do is kind of open up with experiences. And I am so glad that I get to share this opportunity with Alex because he was one of my driving forces that kept me encouraged throughout the process. So I knew about TED and TEDx and had attended previously. I would say it was definitely a learning experience, seeing how much goes on like in the background of it, the research, the time, the volunteers, everything that I really hadn't ever considered all came to light. But my overall experience was truly phenomenal. I mean, it was a almost like a star-studded lineup. And I'll be honest in saying that when I got the news that I was selected, I the whole time I kept waiting for them to prank me. I kept saying, I even talked to Angelica about it. I was like, are you sure y'all picked me? Because I'm looking at everybody else who you selected, and I'm not sure how I made the lineup, but no takebacks. But my talk was a really difficult talk, and it kind of incorporated religion and women and leadership and some of the heavy taboo subjects. So I really was surprised when they selected me for that reason. But I love that our theme was reframe and reframing mindsets. So it just flowed beautifully because there was a lot of challenge. I was even met with resistance after the talk. But overall, the whole experience was phenomenal. What was it like for you, Alex?
Yeah. I was just like reflecting on the power of your talk and even some of the comments that came after that. Good. And also like some challenges there. And I think, our connecting point, it was funny. I think my aunt is a minister and she, connected with you after. She was like, that talk. Yes, it spoke to my heart. So felt like y'all were very kindred spirits.
I needed that.
So that was powerful just to like know that and I had told her about your talk ahead of time. But yeah, for me, mine was a little different. I mean, it was like, it didn't hit me until almost after that I did a TED talk. I reposted on my Facebook page, and I'll never forget one of my friends from college that said oh, I actually know someone who did a TED talk. And I was like, oh, wow, I guess this is a big deal. So it felt surreal, and it didn't hit me until almost I felt like it was just such a whirlwind leading up, and it was such an amazing experience. And I was trying to take it all in the moment and then also make sure my speech was prepared that it wasn't until 2 or 3 weeks after I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I did do a TED talk. So sometimes
it's surreal.
Yeah, it's funny that my team had to sometimes remind me with certain things. They're like, Alex, you did a TED talk. You can make this little mini speech. So even though I'm very extroverted, I think it was just interesting that I don't really actually like big social attention. I try to fly under the radar as much as I can. So I had to lean into that, which like really challenged my leadership a little bit more to like just lean into like it's okay to have attention sometimes. It's just for a good cause. So and I think the last thing in the outdoor industry was really kind of interesting. A few months later, after the TED Talk was released and started spreading, I just ran into people and they're like, "Oh my God, you're the one who did that TED Talk! I can't believe it! I can't believe you're the one that did it!" So it's kind of like mini fame in a way. And I'm like, "Yo, I'm just an average person living in an apartment in San Antonio." So yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's also opened the avenue for other folks that I know who are really brilliant thinkers in the world who like said like, "I never thought I could do a TED Talk," and then you inspired me to really consider it. So that was a really, really cool piece.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I didn't realize like some of the biggest challenges that I'd be able to overcome. One of my big things is with ministry. I'm
Yeah.
used to like engaging with the crowd and
Hmm.
hallelujah, put your hands up. Like
Yeah.
I feed off of their energy, and there's a sense of relationship that gathers over time.
Hmm.
I know one of my biggest challenges was I didn't have that sense of connection. And then I was also now condensing a talk within a certain time aspect. I'm used to just being up there and I like, okay, we're gonna let the
Yeah.
spirit
Yeah.
move, and whatever time you finish, you finish.
Uh-huh.
So it was a really unique experience for me to sit here and kind of keep proposing the talk and changing it and watch how it started from beginning, and it just really morphed into something beautiful towards the end. Because one thing most people don't know is my talk actually began as a poem originally.
I remember
And
that.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming after me, like, to me after one of the rehearsals, and you were like, bring all of you into it. Just,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't stand there trying to think like what people want to hear. Just bring all of you.
Hmm.
And it really did help me bring that certain level of authenticity back into my talk. So I
Mm.
appreciate that.
Oh no, that means a lot. Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. I don't think this was caught on the YouTube, but like, it's funny. I'm wearing a shirt right now, so we hyper Harriet, and in my talk, I mentioned Harriet Tubman, and there's someone in the audience that was like, "Mm-hmm," and I had to like stop for a second. I did like a half-second pause, and I was like, "Okay, I can't address this. Like, if I was back at home, I could address it and just like get the crowd hyped." So
Yeah.
yeah, you're so right. It was just so different. Yeah, so different with like a different audience and everything. So I appreciate it. And I learned so much from even like seeing your talk and how it evolved and how I can like make pivots in mine. So yeah. How like really quick, like how are you doing given everything going on in like the world right now? Like how are you adjusting? And obviously ministry is such a important part of our world, especially during these times. So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you.
Yes. So right now, you see the need for ministry. You're seeing people who are really requesting prayer, and they're needing that sense of involvement. And right now,
Mm,
so many churches have their doors closed. What
mhm,
I will say that I am seeing and I'm enjoying seeing is a lot of women are now kind of being elevated to a point where they have a voice because they're creating their own platforms. And
mm,
so before we were seeing these ministries where, I did run into the challenge where they didn't recognize female pastors or ministers or speakers.
mhm,
I'm seeing a lot of women who have now created their own platforms and are edifying their voice because there's finally this level playing field.
mhm,
Everybody's forced to be home. Everybody's doors are closed.
mhm,
Everybody's social distancing. So right now, I'm seeing a lot of women actually go out and do their same type of things that they were doing in the church. It's just being heard by more voices now, and there's more
mm.
people who are really taking heed to it. It is also challenging because I was mentioning before, I'm a hugger. So I like hugging people. I like that interaction. I like family. I come from a massive family. My grandmother had 15 kids.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, no cable. So I come from a huge family, and that's how we show our love. That's how you show it in church. And so not having that sense of interaction with people has been challenging, to put it at best. But as far as my industry and my experience, it's actually kind of accelerating and giving us this slingshot method that's happening right now. I feel like we're in the pullback, but once we're released and platform, those followers that you have, those supporters that you're gaining in this time, those are going to be the individuals who really stick with you after the social distancing ends.
Mhm.
Now, I know that your whole campaign is for being outside.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to have a completely different experience. So tell me what that's like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, first off, and I just want to commend again the work that you do. Like, I think the intentionality, making the intentional decision to like minister to people's souls and nurture people's souls is such a powerful experience, and you're giving and pouring a lot. So you're just like really in my thoughts and reflections during this time too. But yeah, and so it's kind of interesting because I've always said, when we launched Black Outside, that our goal is to minister through our youth souls through the outdoors, right? Like that they can find this deeper connection to the world around them. And so obviously with that, like clearly we've had to halt programming because having 100 kids outdoors at one time in one confined space is probably not ideal.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah. But it's actually, it's good. It's given us an opportunity. We spent the first, week and a half, 2 weeks when everything, transpired and really the world kind of changed before our eyes is, just checking in on our leaders, our families, making sure they were okay. And then now we're making an intentional pivot to figure out, okay, what is being outside? Because it's like critically important for youth still to have some breath of fresh air. Just like, I always have a lot of thoughts around screen time, right, for kids. And I feel like now it's really amplified due to distance learning. And so, we've been really trying to pivot some of our Facebook posts to just like have activities, ideas. Our last Instagram post that we posted for Black Outside, we talked about greenways, right? Like in our city, we have in San Antonio, we have over 42 miles of greenways. And a lot of times if you go on the greenways, they're kind of like hidden trails that go between different city parks throughout the city. Yeah, and they're super cool. And like they're not like they don't get super packed because they're so spread out. So they're miles and miles of trails. So you just don't get as many people on them. And for the most part, unless you go to like a big greenway like near like McAllister Park or some of the bigger parks, but I'm fortunate enough that I live right next to one. So I have the chance to literally walk on it every day. And for the most part, I mean, I've seen the most packed it ever was like 15 people, and they were very spread out, and everyone was walking and going different directions. So I think like that's one way we've been trying to really advocate and share with folks that like, hey, like, there's still opportunities to get outside, whether it's your yard, whether it's a greenway. Obviously state parks are closed right now, national parks are closed, but that doesn't mean nature always has to be a deep outdoor experience. So that's the big piece is we're really trying to promote and like start planting seeds that like it's still important for kids to just breathe some fresh air and finding that in a safe way.
Which is going to really be needed when we when we stop the social distancing, because right now my sweatpants tell me I haven't gained any weight. But when I go back to regular clothes like I'm in today, it lets you know that, okay, those pants might be lying and you need to get outside.
Right.
And it's one of the things I think that was really challenging, because I would beat myself up as a mom, like, oh my gosh, get off the phones, get off the TV, we need to go outside. And now I find myself, practically shut up inside the house with my boys. So it's encouraging to hear that there's so much thought process going into not only what's happening right now, but when you get this influx of people who want to be outdoors, who like, I don't own real running shoes or things to go hiking, like things like that I always dismissed before. I now am really actively looking into.
For sure.
So that's going to be exciting. So I'll be like the first to enlist both me and my kids together.
Yeah,
in one of your programs.
Yeah, and I was just going to add to that really quickly. I mean, it's interesting that parallel that you talked about like new platforms emerging and new audiences. And I think, when we come out of this season, I still don't think the world's going to look the same, but I think people are definitely going to have redefined perspectives on the world, and especially outside and what it feels like to be outside. So we're also just preparing for that program wise of like, hey, we need to get ready, because like I was on a call with a couple of other outdoor education and summer camp leaders, and like few of them were parents, and they're like, the first thing we're going to want to do is send our kids like to just be outside and like get away, not like a get out of my house. I think there's a small piece of that, right? But there also was just like a piece around like, hey, like, our kids just like they've been bundled up, like wound up in the house, and they haven't even had a chance to interact with other kids. And a lot of families see that as super important. So we're also just being like prepared for that kind of influx also.
That's very good. I mean, and that's all what it's about right now is preparation. So the one thing, I know this is hard and it's stressful and it's impacting a lot of people, and people have been asking me like, how do you just stay so positive? Like, every time we talk to you,
Yeah.
you're still just like happy, all smiles and everything. And I even kind of shared a little bit with Angelica. I was like, because right now the world's greatest masterpieces are coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most phenomenal TED Talks, they're happening in restrooms right now. Somebody
Right.
really has the time to prepare. Someone who hasn't sung in years has started back singing or playing an instrument. Somebody's composing like their best book right now. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many spectacular things that are going to come out of it. And it's
Right.
like you said, I don't ever think it's going to look the same, but I think it's going to be this new, unique transform that's happened. And it's not even just a physical transform, it's like a transformation of mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all you have to do right now is study and read and try to better develop yourself for not only your sake but your family's sake.
Right.
And I think I'm really grateful for what happened with my TEDx talk and the TED experience, because it really did change not only just my outlook, but my network opportunities. I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you said, you have that small sense of like recognition. When I was there, I was met by someone from the Spurs group, Spurs Sports and Entertainment family.
Mm-hmm.
And in last month, I gave a talk there. And then I'll also be doing a video conference with them again tomorrow. And then
Okay.
I was reached out to by like the HEB directors and doing a talk for them. So it's been amazing how, just how much networking, how much opportunity, but just how much like kind of extended family. For me, I'm always about family that
Yeah.
comes from this. And I think about you and Lisa and Angelica, and all the phenomenal people that we met. And now,
Mm-hmm.
they just become part of the family. Darren for photography, everybody. It's just
Right.
been truly a wonderful experience. And I really hope that more people take advantage of that opportunity, and maybe not even just give a talk, but do the volunteering, come out, hear it, get to really know your community,
Mm-hmm.
because there aren't a lot of organizations who truly look to help promote and edify, you know, learning and just,
Mm-hmm.
this advanced thought process. So that's kind of how my life changed, and it did change quite a bit, because I was also met by people from schools like Trinity and now I'm trying to remember the name of the other school, that were religious schools. And they were kind of talking about some of the things that the challenges that they've had with not having certain female professors, because
Mm-hmm.
they only recognize male leaders, and
Mm-hmm.
it's biblical based. So it was nice kind of getting this huge influx of people who said, hey, that exact same thing happened to me, and I'm going through some of those challenges. It
Mm.
just made me feel like it was worth it. So, kind of, how has your life changed after giving your TED talk?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I feel like, I mentioned this way in the start when we first connected. I was like, yeah, I come from a family of preachers. So, yeah, there's a whole another side to that. And I love them in case I think someone might be tuned in. So, yeah,
Family
really.
day.
And so with that, I mean, I grew up watching my mom preach, my stepfather preach, my aunts preach, like, and then obviously like a lot of women in my family preach. And so I think for me, I was able to tap into that. So it was funny because like a lot of my friends and like college friends and even some of my former students from that I taught, like who like watched the talk, were like, we've never seen that side of you. So it's funny to be able to tap into that. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I think what was really beautiful was like obviously like just like Black Outside got a lot of traction once the TED Talk was released. A lot of people heard about our work. A lot of people wanted to connect with us and kind of learn like how we do programming, what we do, what like makes us different. And like the most powerful piece is like our summer camp, which I think I share with you. Our summer camp is the first summer camp for Black girls in the whole country, which started in San Antonio in 1924, and we
Yeah.
resurrected it. Camp Founder Girls, I think. Oh, no, other side. There you go. Yeah. So
Breakers.
yeah. So super cool, and that's part of our programming umbrella. And so what's really been powerful is we just like since that point we got connected with a lot of different local funders who were really inspired by what we're doing. And then on top of that, we were supposed to actually last month be a part of a huge event in the city called Philanthropitch, which was an exciting event where they choose 6 to 7 nonprofits. They do San Antonio, Austin, Nashville, Philadelphia, and Columbus. And they give out like a lot of really amazing amounts of money. So we're sponsored for that event. Yeah, and I felt like it was just like a universal momentum. Like after the TED Talk, like we had one small pitch event, and then like we just kind of connected with more donors, and then on top of that, it like spiraled into another big opportunity like Philanthropitch, where we were going to be able to present to 500 people. So that's exciting. Obviously, it got postponed, and that's okay. Like we're okay. Like it was hard at first, but we're like, yeah, like there's a big universal shift happening, and we're a part of that, and like we just want to go with the flow. And then I think on a personal level, which is like news that just recently broke, that's why it's kind of been under the surface. But I've just been super blessed that on top of like the role that I play with Black Outside with volunteering and supporting our programming, that I just took over the H.E. Butt Foundation Outdoor School. So I'm the senior director now. Yeah. So I feel really, really blessed. And I think part of that was just a universal momentum. So it's really cool that we serve all Title I schools. I have an awesome team that I'm working with to really, really deepen the impact of our work. And it's one of the only free outdoor schools in like all of Texas and probably almost the country. So I think it's a really powerful opportunity to be able to shift and create and craft programming for just more kids on top of the work of Black Outside. So that's been like the biggest personal development as of late. So.
Hi, I wanted to pop in. Well,
yeah.
one, I want to say congratulations. I think that's such wonderful news. And
Thank
you so much for sharing that with with our community right today. I think that's amazing. So one of the things I wanted to ask the both of you is right now, I know that a lot of people are not only trying to figure out how to build in their own faith and practice from home, but also being outdoors as well. And so what are some tips or insights that you found that have helped you and your families at home adjust to this new normal that maybe our audience may also be able to utilize in their day-to-day?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, perfect. One of the things that I'm really loving and I'm really promoting and encouraging anybody who's asked me for something similar is now you have the opportunity to be authentically you. If it's your faith, I am very kind of loud, rambunctious. I'm all over the place. And that's challenging when you go into certain settings and you're constantly putting on this mask of conformity to try to identify and try to connect with other individuals in their belief and their practices. What's happening right now is you truly have a chance to build on your belief the way you want to believe.
Right.
To make your own connection and to be authentic to who you are. You don't have to worry about saying the right prayer or kind of putting on the right clothes, thinking you're going to be judged because of your economic status or your gender or any of the other reasons that have kept so many people out of church or personal relationships or just even a positive mindset. Like we beat ourselves up daily. You know, for me, I'm not tall enough. I'm not slim enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. And this is the time to really just be kind to yourself. Like, you know, at home, I'm the smartest teacher because I'm the only teacher. And guess what? I'm the best employee. You know, all of these recognitions that I think I was lacking, I'm now becoming the expert in it. My boys are now looking to me for expert teaching advice. My husband is looking to me to help with computers and system setups because things he's never had to do. So now I'm becoming, you know, just this expert, and I'm really learning to trust myself. And I've been very grateful for it. So tell me a little about what you think, Alex.
Yeah, that was really powerful, and I think it kind of blends to one. This is an opportunity, I think, just dive into the self. I think there's no, one of our really, really phenomenal leaders said that Kierra Thompson, she was like, there's no one way to be. Like we're all navigating new times, and so just always giving yourself grace. And so that kind of like parallels even with the outdoors and even ourselves, right? It's like sometimes even for me, I've had the opportunity to like backpack for 17 days and go to national parks and state parks, right? And so for me, it's even hard because I'm like itching to get like deeper outdoor experiences again, which I enjoy. But I also am cognizant and realize like it's okay, like to just like hike around the neighborhood and like that's a great glimpse of nature. And so I think for sure, like just know like with that, like you're enough personally, right? And then similarly, the nature in the world around you is enough. Right. Like it's okay that you're not going to a state park. It's okay that you're not going like camping yet, or like your family hasn't like you haven't gotten as much outdoor time as you want. And I think for me, even what's been encouraging is I walk like usually the same path almost every day outdoors. And usually when I'm like on a phone call or something like that, I might go on that path. And sometimes I'll just like after the phone call, I'll just like take the path again. And it's interesting to just see like every time I walk past the path, I'll like notice something new, right? Like something new about the trees or something new about the grass or some new animal that's like popped up. And so I think it's just a beautiful experience to just really, just like people are at home diving deeper into their inner selves, like diving deeper into the inner nature that's literally right in the radius of their home. So that would be my message of encouragement. And then also, I don't know, the air's also been smelling cleaner lately. I don't know if you know that. Thought that in. Like, walk up like,
less cars, less planes. I can see that.
I think it's great what you guys both shared. I find myself finding more peace in being outside right now, which is really kind of interesting and unlikely something that I wasn't finding before. So it's really nice to have that moment. I really appreciated you guys being with us for the last 30 minutes. And I just wanted to ask really quickly before we wrap up, what do you think, what are your thoughts on the future after all of this in your respective professions? What is it going to look like? And how do we look to the future in both ministry and the outdoors?
I personally think we're going to come back the greater from this. I think looking at it from a humanity standpoint, people were so busy. I mean, we were seeing people who were getting robbed, killed, and people would pull out cell phones and record it. There wasn't a sense of interacting. Everyone was so busy and caught up in their day to day, we forgot to look at people. We forgot to appreciate people. We forgot to do so many things that are just quickly dismissed when we are able to be back outside and social distancing is over. There's a greater appreciation that will happen for people, even our essential workers, like the fast food workers, the people who clean, the people who are, delivery drivers, the people we dismiss their jobs so easily. These are the people who are pulling us through at this moment. And those are the people, when we come out of this, we'll have a greater sense of appreciation. You'll be less likely to send your food back and be yelling. You'll be less likely to gripe about the extra 2 minutes that it's taking to get a delivery to you. I think there will really be the sense of greater connection, greater outlook and appreciation. And for ministry, I think we will be made the better of it, because I think after you come out of this, there's going to be a lot of healing that needs to happen. There's a lot of loss happening right now. There's a lot of depression happening right now. People have lost their jobs. People are losing their loved ones. Some people are losing their education. I mean, there's a great amount of stress and challenge that everyone's under. So I think when we come out of this, it's going to take everybody being involved. A lot of the things that have made us distance, like racial distancing and economic distancing, I think those things will they'll be more dismissed regularly, as they should be, because people will see the greater good in humanity, and I am actually looking forward to it.
Whew, that was powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's your next TED Talk right there.
That's my next one. That's my next one.
Wow, I'm like reflecting on a lot of those pieces. I think kind of to build off of that, like parallel piece is like, I see, the title of my talk was Recolor the Outdoors. And I do see like after this time, like a recoloring of the outdoors. Like even now, like when I go on the greenway near my apartment, like I am noticing more diversity, like, you know, because I've walked it a bunch and I'm noticing new people, new faces, more families like outside. And so that's like really beautiful in my soul that like obviously in the midst of the storm that's happening right now, there's this beauty of like people are like connecting in new ways to the earth and around them. And like the earth is getting healed right now too, through this process. So like I think what I really see out of this time in the future is like there's going to be, you know, you talked about the next TED Talks are being emerged, but I also see like the next wave of outdoor leaders emerging, like 9, 10, 11-year-olds that remember the first time that they were outside walking their family during this time. And they're like, wow, I really like remember this nature experience. And I always joke, I was like the next future leader of Black Outside, Latino Outdoors, some of these organizations that are working to diversify the outdoors, they're emerging right now. And they're getting their first like nature experiences, and it's planting a seed for a love of the earth around them. So that's what's really beautiful. And that's what I see as the future is like, this is going to further fuel or ignite a recoloring and a diversification of the people that walk on trails. So that does excite me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our Red Dot Cafe. I appreciate all of your insights and your reflections on this time frame, and I'm sure that our community does as well.
Yeah.
Specifically, I have to give a big thank you to Angelica. She does so much. Everybody who doesn't know, like from school to background to getting everything done with TED, like this woman is absolutely phenomenal. So I cannot get off without saying a special thank you to you.
Yes.
Because you're like the mad scientist of this. I don't know how you do it, but I greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's definitely a labor of love, and I'm lucky enough to have a wonderful team of individuals participating and contributing. So again, thank you to the both of you for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.
All right.
Thank you all again for yet another wonderful week of Red Dot Cafe. If you're interested in seeing what we've got on board for next week, you can go to our website at TEDxSanAntonio.com/Red Dot Cafe. Also, if you have any comments or insights, so maybe there's some ideas and people in your community that you think that we should talk to, please reach out to us at registration@TEDxSanAntonio.com. And as always, if you're seeing the power of ideas manifesting in your community, let us know. Post to social media, use the hashtag #PowerOfX, and we will be super excited to share all of those wonderful manifestations of the power of ideas with our community. As always, again, it was a pleasure to have you all participate yet again. And we look forward to hosting more of these. So we'll see you on Tuesday with yet another episode of Red Dot Cafe. Have a good weekend. Get outside.